My name is Fraser and welcome to Graphic Card Repairs. So today we have an MSI Ventus, that's RTX 3070 Ventus. Now the thing here is the customer has said that this card is not working. I've put it on the bench. I've checked the resistances. The resistances on the main rails were okay, so I put it on the bench, and this card is not getting detected. Okay, so for the sake of this video, I'm going to do the resistance check again from outside, and then we are going to go ahead and open up the card. Now, I have a feeling that some of the voltages are not present. Okay, so let's start with the resistance. So on the 12 volt PCIe, you can see there's no short, 3.3 volt. Okay, there is no short, it's in the kilo ohm range. On the 12 volt 8 pin, there is no short, it's in the kilo ohm range. In the second one, again, there is no short. Okay, so we don't have any short on the main rails of this card. So what we are going to do is we are going to open up this card and we'll continue from there. Okay, so I've gone ahead and opened the card. Now I just cleaned it with isopropyl alcohol. You can take a look at the dirt that was there on it. It was a mess. So there was black dirt, which I've cleaned now. So let's take a look at this card now. Okay, so before we do any further measurements, what we are going to do is, we're just going to look at it under the microscope and see if there are any visible things that we can find on the card. Okay, so far it's fine. So what we are going to do is we are going to take the measurements. Just take the microscope away. Okay, let's start again. 12 volt PCIe, it's fine. 3.3 volts, it's fine. 12 volts, 8 pin is fine. Okay, 12 volt 8 pin, second one is fine. Let's take a look at the memory. We have Samsung and we have 31 ohms, which is fine. Same thing, 31 ohms, 5 volts is fine. 1.8 volts, it's looking fine, and PEX is also fine. Okay, so looks like all the resistances are absolutely fine. What I'm going to do is just I'm going to clean this card more. Then we are going to give it some power and take a look where we can go from there. Okay, so I've plugged in this card to a PCIe slot. Okay, it's powered by an external power supply. And the power supply that I'm using is this. This is a custom made power supply. If this is based on Tony's supply. that he had created. He has made a beautiful video on how you can create the supply. So I've taken all the ideas from him. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the voltages across everywhere. So currently, if I'm looking, it's drawing only 0.02 amps. So we are going to do a voltage check. Okay, so that's 12 volts there. That is 12 volts here. I'll just do a memory, but I know, okay, there's no memory. Let's check 5 volts. And I don't have 5 volts. Okay, so if I don't have 5 volts, I will not have 1.8, and I will not have PEX, and I will not have core. So core, normally I would check from the back, but I know that there is no core. Okay, so we don't have 5 volts. So we have to investigate as to why we don't have 5 volts. But if I take a look, I have 0.082, which is bare minimum. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to probe around. Okay, and once I get my findings, I will come back on this video and show you what exactly I've found and what the issue is with this particular one. Okay, after digging a bit, I have found that the chip responsible for giving out 5 volt is not giving out any voltage. So I will show you under the microscope which chip I'm talking about. So let me quickly switch over to that to the microscope. Okay, so under the microscope, so this is the chip that generates 5 volts. Now, if I'm probing this chip on pin 1, I should have 12 volts, and if I look, oh sorry, I'm not turned it on. Okay, now if I look on pin 1, okay, strange. I just had 12 volts earlier. Now I don't. Oh, sorry, pin 2. Pin 2 should have 12 volts, and I have 12 volts on pin 2. Pin 3, I have nothing. That should be 5 volts, but I don't have anything that's out there. This one is ground. That's pin 4. If I look at pin 5, I have 4.9 volts. Now this pin, that's pin 5, is the boot signal. Now after that, I have pin 6, and pin 6, I have 2.6 volts, and pin 6 is the 5 volt enable signal. Now I also have 5 volt enable signal on this one. Then pin 7 is 5 volt, and pin 7 is the VCC, 5 volt VCC, and I have 5 volt VCC. Let's take a look at pin 8. Pin 8 is 1.1 volts, and pin 8 is this feedback signal. Okay, so what I see is that because all the voltages that are supposed to be on this pin or on this chip are are available, but there is no output. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and replace this chip, okay, and we are going to take it up from there. Okay, so just a second, I'll take a chip from a donor board because I don't have this chip with me in stock, so I'll have to take it from a donor board, and I'll continue the video. let's plug the card and test it and see if it's working now, and we'll continue from there. Okay, so I've plugged in the power supply to the graphics card. Let's take a look if by turning it on, if we have a voltage, and we do. Okay, so now I'll just check if we have 1.8 volts. We have PEX. Okay, looks like we have 1.8 volts, but we don't have PEX. Do we have memory? We don't have memory either. Okay, so I'm assuming that we don't have the core voltage. I'll just test it. Okay, so our core voltage is 0.2, which is very low. Okay, so we've got our 5 volts now. Okay, and if you see, we have our 5 volts. We have 1.8 volts, and we have PEX. The reason there was no PEX is because pin number 8 of the 5-volt chip was not soldered properly. I've corrected. Okay, so I have found something. So now after we replace the, let me get this clear. I'll just switch over to the microscope. Okay, so after we replace this chip, we got our 5 volts back. After this, we had a 1.8, and we also had the PEX, but we were missing memory. Okay, so now what I've done is, while I was just checking at the back, there is a controller which controls the gate of these MOSFETs. Okay, now uh, if I look under the microscope, okay, let me watch really close. It wasn't really visible earlier, but now I can see this particular chip has a hole over here. And this is the one that controls the MOSFET gates of the MOSFET. And this is faulty, so I may have to replace this chip. Let me just replace this chip, and we'll take a look at it again after it's been replaced. Let's see if if the card is detected and we have all voltages. First, we'll check the voltages. this card is, the chip has been replaced. Let's cool down. Let's test it if we have voltages. Let me switch over. Okay, so now the only thing we have to test is if we have all the voltages present. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead directly for the memory. And we have memory. You can see 1.359 volts. We have PEX 1.8. And we have 5 volts. Let's check the core. And we have core. So the voltage or the power draw is looking normal at idle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if this card is now getting detected. Okay, and I will update you from there. Okay, so I have put the card on the bench. We are going to check if this card is getting detected and if we have a picture. So I've connected the HDMI to the HDMI slot. Let's take a look. Okay, looks like the card is detected. So it looks like the card is detected, but we don't have any picture coming out from the card. Let me switch to internal graphics. Okay, so I've switched to the internal graphics of the card. Let's take a look. So I'm going to first boot into Linux and check if I can see, the uh, PCIe showing up. So I'm going to list all the PCIe slots. Okay, and it looks like I can see the graphic card. I will just try and run mods first and then maths. The mods that I'm going to run, it's just because I'm running it as a secondary device. I'm just going to run it so that I can run maths later on. Otherwise, if you run maths directly as a secondary, it will not detect or it will not run the script. So yeah, I'm just holding the camera in one hand and I'm typing in the other. Okay, so now I'm going to run maths. The reason I'm running maths is because there was the controller chip on on the memory rail was had a hole, so probably it might have burnt out. So I'm just trying to make sure. Okay, there you go. We have a pass. So I'm just going to boot into Windows now. Yeah. So I was saying that I was checking running maths is because it was the controller. So I was a bit skeptical if the memory controller or something may have blown off. So but we'll still take a look. So I just want to check if I have code 43 or something like that. Okay, the drivers are getting installed. So if there are no errors on the drivers at this stage, then I may have to look at the HDMI ports and the display ports, because if there is no picture coming out, maybe there's some dirt or something in the display connector or the HDMI connector. I may have to clean that out. Okay, there you go. There are no errors. Okay, so until now, I can say that the card is fixed, but we still have to verify a lot of things. Okay, so let me shut down and let's go back to the the test to my work area. Okay, so what I have done is I've gone ahead and checked if this card is getting detected and if the drivers are loading properly. So I went ahead, ran Mets passes. I've loaded into Windows. Windows displays the drivers, and there are no errors on the drivers. Now, the issue here is I don't get any image from any of these ports. So I may have to go ahead and clean these ports, measure them, and then let's take a look from there. Okay, so I have put the card on the bench, and we are going to take a look if now if the card boots and if we have a picture. So I'm going to boot the card. Okay, and we have a picture. Now this picture is from the card itself. I will only boot into Windows, and the drivers are already loaded. So since I don't have a cooler, I will not run any test without the cooler. So I will just load it and then shut down. Okay, I'll shut it down now and just check drivers. And you can see the drivers are okay. That's fine for me for now. I won't run any test. I will go ahead and put in the cooler and then stress test this card. Okay, so I've gone ahead and installed the card on the bench, and I will show you the picture. Okay, so this is the picture that is coming from the card. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and do some stress tests. First, we'll go ahead and take a look if the drivers are okay. Drivers show okay. We'll go ahead and open GPU-Z. Okay, we can see it's everything looks fine. Let's take a look at the sensors and let's run Heavens, and let's see how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run Heavens and FurMark together. So you can see Heavens is running. Let me open up FurMark. Okay, so both the tests are running together. GPU load is at 96%. Hotspot is at 71, 72. GPU temperature at 60. And looks like our card is stable. I don't see any kind of artifacts on everything looks good. So we can call this a fix. Our 3070 is now fixed. If you like this video, if you learned anything, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.